calling all educators with a passion for teaching and a health for faith. Get ready for a transformative journey with the Educators with Oil podcast, where host Ronnette Branham is dedicated to helping teachers become better through biblical strategies.
Welcome to Educators with Oil podcast. I am your hostess, Ronnette Branham, here to inspire, motivate, and train Christian educators with wisdom and strategies you need to teach with clarity, confidence, and joy. Every episode, of course, is designed to strengthen you, refuel you, and support you in the assignment that you carry. Thank you for joining us today. This episode is one you don't want to miss. I'm really excited about it. We're talking about educators on a mission and everything that entails, exploring how Christian educators can walk out their calling with purpose, courage, and grace in every classroom setting. I'm thrilled to be joined by Rhapsody Jordan-Parisi. I hope I said that right. Of the Tightrope Teaching blog. She has a blog, Tightrope Teaching. She brings passion and faith-centered perspective that will uplift and empower us today. So let's jump right in to this episode, this conversation, and strengthen the mission God placed in our lives. Hello,
Hi,
Rhapsody, how are you?
I'm so happy to be here talking to you. Hi.
I'm great, and like I said earlier, I'm excited about this conversation. A lot of times, the conversation is Christian educators from perspective of strategy that we're using to do something like just say it was small group instruction or teaching multilingual learners. But this is us overall as Christian educators on a mission. And this is, sometimes we say it's a battlefield. It's not a battlefield. It's our mission field, or it could be too. So this is great because just two like minds coming together and just discussing what it is that we're actually doing. And so that's exciting to me. So
Yeah.
do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and even what you do and what is Tightrope?
Sure. So I am a high school English teacher, and this is year 20 for me. I have always taught in public schools. I still am teaching. I was brought up like myself. I went through public schools, K through 12. And so that, really is my background. I will say that my husband teaches in Christian schools, and my own children are enrolled in Christian schools. And it's been an interesting kind of journey because when I first started teaching and first got out of college, I went to college to be a teacher, and I just sort of assumed I would be a public school teacher just because that was the realm that I went to. I went to a public college, a secular college. That was just sort of the world that I was in. It was sort of the trajectory. And I just got a job being a teacher. That was it. It was my job. And it wasn't until about year 10 that my perspective really started to change. I've always loved what I do. But around year 10, I just really started to notice a shift in the culture. Just the culture of the schools, but also just the culture in general that we live in. And it was just a shift in so many ways. And I just became aware, really like consciously aware for the first time, that this is more than a job. Like, yes, we're impacting kids. Okay, we're doing that. But this is a mission field. And that especially being a Christian who is a teacher, it's a really weighty burden, but it's a really special calling. To be privileged to interact with thousands of young people over the course of your career. We know that teachers can have such a powerful impact on children, positive and negative, right? Like a good teacher or a bad teacher can really make a a big impact in a kid's life, for better or worse. And so if we really take seriously the calling that God has put on us as Christians to represent him and his light in the world, what an honorable like burden to carry, right? Like what an honor to be asked to carry God's banner around for him and to be his beacon of light in the dark places. And so for myself, choosing to remain in public school, it truly is like light in the darkness for me, because there's just so many opportunities that we have that I've never felt called to, go to a foreign country as like a traditional missionary, but I really have come to see in the last 10 years my job right here at home as like I am a missionary, and like we all are missionaries, because boy, does the world need Christ. Boy, oh boy, do they need it. And we just have such a privilege to be able to, really build relationships with these children and speak into their lives. And even in a position where we're in, we can't preach the gospel openly and like talk about Jesus openly necessarily. Mm-hmm. Like our lives are a testimony. And I think that's the best kind of testimony, is a genuine one where like you live out being the hands and feet of Jesus. You don't have to say the name of Jesus for somebody to feel love through you. And so I'm just passionate about that. So that's really, how I've come to see my job as an educator on a mission. And Tightrope Teaching is, it's a blog that I started about 3 or 4 years ago now. And that just came out of my passion of wanting to help other teachers. I love helping teachers. The job has become so much more demanding than it ever has been. And there is such a need for teachers who are overwhelmed and burnt out and who do have this heart for, for impacting generations, but the daily sort of burdens of the job can really weigh on people. And so I started the blog as a way to just say, hey, you're not alone. I'm living that life too. And it's possible to do it without being just sort of buried under what you're doing. And it's possible to, keep going and be uplifted. And so I just want to encourage people through Tightrope Teaching.
You said a lot that I'm checking because the first thing that I heard when you said the lives that we touch, thousands of lives that we touch. And somebody else was on the show about a month or so ago, and she said the same thing, and she was adding up the amount of students every day. And then she said something about, what about the students who you don't even know, who are really not in your classroom, but they know who you are. And so that is something. And then this being a mission and it changing where it changed for you, that instead of just being a job, it became a mission. This is your calling. And when we have, how I feel like if we have a calling, you really can't get upset about it, because this is what you're here to do. This is your purpose. This is when you say I'm called to do this, you can't really be upset. Now you just have to get in line and see what it is you really have to do. So I like that. And then that just by being, when you said that, just by being, you're making a difference. You're touching lives by being, not even trying to preach it, not being preachy. And that's something that we have to be cognizant of every single day. Our behavior, the words that we say, because working in the public school, any school, I don't care if it's a public or a Christian school, you have students and everybody has a personality, and you could get upset with some students, or you could snap, not, when I say snap, not flip out, but you could snap at a student, right? You're not really thinking. You're just like, maybe you're uptight already, and then a student is just pushing. We can you could have that where you have to step back and say, wait, okay, I'm going to relax. So I like that perspective. And then on top, my favorite thing now, I don't know, I used to be teaching students, is talking to teachers. That's my favorite thing to do, is to get in front of teachers and have a conversation, talk about what we're doing, strategies we're using. So for you to start that blog, that's amazing. That's amazing, because that's a gift in its own right. That's a gift in its own right. Just, I'm here to pour into other educators. So I love that. I love that you're doing that. That's how I found you, actually.
Yeah.
That's how I found you, because I wanted to find people who are doing what I'm doing. And that is, when I started, this is my 4th year. So 3 years ago, I couldn't find anybody. We didn't have ChatGPT back then. So I couldn't find anybody. I'm trying to find somebody that I can look and see, this is how they're doing it, how is this working, and what kind of impact are we actually having. I couldn't find anybody. I looked for conferences. I found none. Finally, I found a conference a few months ago, and then it was kind of too late for me to go to it. I registered online, but then I found you were a speaker there. I forgot what it's called. What's the conference?
The Rise Up Summit.
Yeah, the Rise Up Summit.
Yeah, Teach for the Heart is a website that's been around for, I want to say since like 2013. Linda Cardamus, she's been doing it for a while. She's a former middle school math teacher, but she runs her website full time, Teach for the Heart, and she runs this online summit at the end of every October, and it's free. And it's incredible, the lineup of speakers that come just from all over the place. It's really incredible. But I this year was my 2nd year doing the Rise Up Summit as a speaker there. And I found her because I'm part of an organization called Christian Educators. I've been with them I've been a member for, I want to say like 8 or 10 years, somewhere around there. But it was only in the past year that I really got actively involved, became a volunteer rep with them. And they are, you talked about like-mindedness. They're exactly, their mission is to support and uplift Christian educators in the public school, and just equip us to walk out this mission as sort of these, undercover soldiers kind of. And so that organization has been such a blessing to me. And so they partner with Teach for the Heart to sort of co-host the summit. So yeah, you said you were trying to find people who are like-minded and doing what you're doing. We're out there, we're all over the place. And the beautiful thing about God's family is that it's all one family, and so when the Spirit responds to the Spirit. And so when you meet your family that you haven't met yet in Christ, there's just this instant kinship, because, we all have the same Father. And so it's really a beautiful, uplifting thing. So I'm so glad you found me too. So
yeah,
now we're connected. So
yeah, because it's you said 10 years, you said 10 years and 13 years, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because I talk to people. I mean, we had conversations. I had conversations with people about where can I find somebody to connect with, or just to even follow, just to follow and get insight. And I'm talking, when I say a couple months ago, I don't know if it was a couple months ago, that's it. Like, it was, oh, really? This a whole conference happening here. And so that's just great. So that's one thing. But talking about this mission and going into the classroom, what does that look like? Because I talk about taking your oil with you, and you have to be ready, you have to be prepared, you have to know how to answer. You know how the Bible says, you have to know, if you speak softly, you'll know how to answer everybody, if that's your mode of speaking. And so that is something, just we have things in public school, in I'm just going to say school. I don't care if it's public school or not. But as teachers, we come across different curriculums, different personalities, different administration, and then we still have to walk it out. Sometimes it doesn't match. It doesn't fit. What do you? How does that work for you? Because you've been teaching the same amount of time I have, 20 years. You have come across some things.
Yes. Yeah, sure have. How does it work out? For me, one day at a time is how you walk it out. One moment at a time is how you walk it out. And it's kind of cliche, but a lot of times you'll hear teachers joke about it. It'll come up in PDs, or admin will say, remember your why, remember your why. And sometimes on the hard days, you might say to your colleagues, like, remember your why, these kind of motivating things. But I think that takes on like an extra layer of meaning, or a more deep-seated meaning when you're a Christian who looks at your job really as your mission field. Because for us, our why should be to serve Christ and to represent him well, no matter where we go. And that's not something that stops at the classroom doors, like only for church, only for home, only for here. Like, you have to do that. God really calls us to do that everywhere. He calls us to do that with, the difficult phone reps that we talk to. He calls us to do that with everybody all the time. And, that's what Christ did. He loved the unlovable. He loved the people who were difficult. And so if we really are supposed to be continually, seeking to be more Christ-like with every passing day, then a big part of that is loving the people who are the hardest to love, which of course is not easy, but it's what we're called to do and what we're commanded to do, to love your neighbor as yourself. So that means, loving the kids, in your class, the administrators, the parents. I had actually a situation that happened yesterday. It started the Friday before Thanksgiving break and resolved itself yesterday. And that actually I think fits right into this. So in our school, we have our state, I live in North Carolina. And so our state this year made it a law that kids can't have their phones turned on during instructional time. Hallelujah. Thank you, God. Oh boy. So anyway, we're really trying to crack down on it, et cetera. And so I was following procedure, and we keep track who turns them in, whatever. And so I wrote a referral for this girl because she didn't turn in her phone for the third day in a row. And I had sent 2 messages home, whatever. So anyway, there were several students I had done this for, not the majority, but I had done this, just a normal procedural thing. And this was on the Friday right before Thanksgiving break. And this one mom reacted very negatively, and it was over this text messaging system that we had, but she was demanding that I call her. I mean, this was like the last period of the day, and my students were doing independent work, but I wasn't like free to call her or anything. And so I was leaving for break. I had an appointment after school. I had to leave right after, whatever. So anyway, left over the Thanksgiving break with this very contentious situation. And I picked it back up when I came in. She was demanding meetings and all these things, calling the admin. Okay. So yesterday I came in back to work from break, and the reason why I bring this up is because this conversation ended with this mother yesterday, where she now we are totally fine. Everything is totally resolved peacefully. And I didn't do anything special in this situation, but I tried to treat her like Jesus would treat her, which is with kindness and love, even though she was coming at me, and like really angry about this procedural thing. I just tried to make her feel seen. She started to tell me all these crazy things. Oh, my husband was killed 17 years ago, and I have 5 children, and my daughter was a preemie, and all these things that are like not relevant. But I just, to whether her daughter turned in her cell phone or not, totally not relevant. But I said to her, listen, I'm a mom too. I totally understand why you're an advocate for your child. I'm sorry there was a miscommunication. And she immediately turned the corner, immediately. And I feel like, one of the incredible things about Jesus was that he always made people feel seen, and especially the people who, and like us, like he makes me feel seen when nobody else sees me, right? Whenever we aren't even telling people about the secret struggles that are going on in our life, like he is the one who sees us. We are always completely known and completely seen by him. And you can't help but respond thankfully and well to that kind of, love and recognition. So that is something that we can do no matter where we are, right? When somebody comes at you, again, just following his example of they're nailing him to the cross and he's like, Father, forgive them. Like, if we seek to follow his character in every situation that we're in, which is with, peace and love, and you're going to come at me, but I'm going to come at you with love, and just always take that high road, because there are so many potential conflict situations that we come into in our daily work, whether it's a student who wants to escalate a situation and you can de-escalate them by not engaging in it, right? By not snapping at that kid, by being a little extra patient, by just thinking, okay, what don't I know? I mean, we know that our students have trauma-filled lives at home that we know nothing about. And I know that whenever I find out about one of them because of whatever circumstance is going on, it just completely breaks my heart. But it also opens my eyes to, wow, okay, well, this kid isn't slacking off just because, I mean, sometimes they're kids, sometimes they slack off because they slack off, but sometimes it's because there's abuse, or because there's this trauma, or because they just became homeless, or because there's something you don't know. But God knows. And I also think that as Christians, like, God gives us the Holy Spirit in us to discern those things. And so more so than it's not a competition, but we have an edge over a teacher who's a non-believer, because those hurting children who might not even be like opening up to or telling anybody anything, sometimes you can just feel it in your spirit. Like, you can just pray, like, God, give me a soft heart towards these children. Like, give me the discernment to know who needs a little extra patience today. And maybe the details of what's going on with that it could be an adult, a colleague, it could be a child. Maybe the details, maybe you don't. You don't need to know. God knows. But what he needs us to do is to be his representatives. And so when I go into work every morning, before I leave my car and before I walk across the parking lot, my honest prayer every single morning is, God, just help me represent you well today. That's it. Because from day to day, you literally never know what's going to happen on your campus, right? Like, you literally never know. And, but he already knows, and he already knows exactly who is going to come across your path. There are no accidents. He didn't bring anybody into contact with you today or tomorrow that he doesn't already know. Like, he's putting those chess pieces together, and he has put you in this place, in this time, with this roster of children, with these coworkers, with this difficult principal. You have been placed on this mission by God for such a time as this. It's because he wants you there. And if you can just, in the hardest moments, if you can just keep that in your mind, it just is so, it just fills you with peace and calm that you don't need to react. You just are filled with his spirit. And it's like, okay, God, this is use me. Tell me what you want me to do. How can I represent you well? Because like you said a second ago, whether we react positively or negatively, people are going to see that one way or the other. And so I just always want to represent him well. Even to the kid who isn't on my roster, but knows me from across the hall, or, whatever. And so, that's the why, I think, is just to ask him for wisdom in every moment as you come across it.
Oh, I love that. And what do you say every morning? You say, help me to represent you well?
I just say, help me represent you well, God. Just help me represent.
I need to take that up before I walk in my classroom, because I have things that I'm saying and I'm praying, but I don't say that. I think it, but I don't say it. And it's like, That's perfect, because that even changes your thought patterns for that day.
Yes.
And that I have a doctor. He's my neurologist, and that's what he does. Because I went to his office and he prayed for me. He tried to give me
That's
medication,
incredible.
but I can't take the medication because I have an allergic reaction. He gave me a different one, allergic reaction. So he's like, "You gonna have to pray. You gonna have to get yourself together." Because I was getting headaches. I don't get headaches anymore because of this doctor gave me a different outlook. And this is what your job is. So you have to think about it and what you're doing, but you have to pray. And I asked him, I said, well, how do you know who to tell this stuff to? You just pray for people? No, he prayed for me in his office.
That's amazing.
No, who does it? Have you ever been to a doctor's office? I'm talking about neurologists who, they prescribe medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this is for your headaches. You don't need it. You need, I'm talking about, I had headaches that would take the average person down, but I kept on going. He said, he told me what to do, how to focus. And then I came back like a year later, maybe the headaches were there again. He said, what happened? You've been doing so well. He didn't even care anymore. He's like, I'm gonna pray for you, okay? Can I pray for you? And then he told me what to do, how to pray. And I said to him, how do you know who to bring this to? How do you know you just pray for people in the doctor's office? You can't do that. And he said, because I ask God every single day, show me what to do, who to touch, who to talk to, what to say to my patients. Oh, that's all you had to do? That's all you had to do. Right? That's that discernment, because know he can't pray for everybody. He can't, because he's talking about Jesus in Jesus' name. You just can't. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool, because you said that. It just brought me back to that. If he had not talked to God that day, I would still be having headaches. He would be trying to figure out a medication, or I would be back in his office again, because the focusing that he told me to do didn't work. It worked for a minute, because then I lost track. Now I'm not focusing, and no. He said, this is what you do. This is how you take your job. That's your job. That's your calling. You can't get upset about your job, stressed out about your job. Do what you're supposed to do, right? You won't get a headache from that. And I'm talking about, 3 months straight, I had a headache. 3 months.
Oh,
and he just prayed for me, told me what to do, because he asked God in the morning every single day, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say to my patients? And I love it. I love it.
That reminds me of another, not last summer, but the summer before. I was at a conference with an incredible speaker and writer named Jamie Winship, and that was an incredible conference. But one of my biggest takeaways from that was he talks a lot about breaking through fear and pushing past fear in order to just step into the identities that Christ has called us to. And so two super simple and super easy to remember questions that I took away from him, which you just reminded me of, was a simple prayer of, in any situation, because he was like former CIA, like anti-terrorist. He's got these crazy, like amazing stories. But God, what do you want me to know? And what do you want me to do? Just like at any moment, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And he answers. I got to tell you, he answers. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have just asked God those two simple little questions, and immediately I get the answer every time. I can't claim it's going to be immediate for everybody, but like that, it's amazing. Like, the Bible says that, like, we have not because we ask not, right? Like, ask and you will receive. Ask God. He's waiting for you to ask him. He will answer. He will.
You know how many people you just helped just now? You know how many people? I mean, when we go back and watch this, anybody goes back and watches this, it's going to be, wow. I already know it's as simple as that. But then to be reminded, it's as simple as that, because we talk about how we're walking with God, how he's in us, how he speaks to us, and then we can't ask him a question. What do we think he's here for? He's just here to what? I don't know. Just what? I don't know. Because he can't rule and reign unless we ask him a question, because he has to show us what to do. You know, we have to be just receptive that he's here to direct us. And that, you know, we have students in our classrooms. I don't know. I thought I got an alarm going off, and I'm like, it can't be 7 o'clock already. So we have students in our classroom. Sometimes we don't know what to do. We don't. I had a student. I always say last year, because I don't want to get anybody get offended. Last year, I had a student, and I didn't know what to do with them. I can work with him in small group, just me and him, or small group with other students. But once I took my focus off of him. Mm-hmm. It was like he couldn't handle it. I didn't know how to deal with that. But then I had to ask. Same thing. I had to ask God, what am I supposed to do? This is stressing, right? This is stressing. This makes no sense. And then I had to give him instructions prior to me taking my focus off of him, and that way he was good. Because if I just started the class and said, okay, now let's move on. No, I had to give him instructions of what it is you need to do, because he will be a mess. He will just start flipping. And it just was as simple as that. God, what do you want me to do with this little boy? Because this is not working. This is definitely not working. I just give me 1 second. I say the wrong thing. It's all over with. But it was just, okay, this is what you have to do, because he needs that. He needs that. And so that is so perfect. I'm going to walk in that from now on with intention, because, you know, we get frustrated. We like, Lord, help me, you know, but now for real, we need to be intentional. Yes. Every single morning, every single break, every single transition. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for that. That's amazing. You got something else? I know you have another strategy besides, because that's perfect right there.
I'm just passing along the nuggets, you know.
Yeah.
Passing them along.
This is what I'm thinking. It's so crazy that I know we need to learn a new word besides crazy, but it's crazy that you know how he says the simple things confound the wise. That, you know, that's going to knock some people. You tell somebody that's going to knock them off. It's too simple. No, yeah, you get confounded by that, and that's something else. But the simple things.
Yeah, God makes it simple for us, you know. And if you think about, like, you know, the disciples were simple people, and Jesus broke down things in a simple way. You know, it was all the religious leaders, all the teachers of the law who made everything all complicated and religious, right? But Jesus just spoke to the regular people in ways that they could understand, and he just told them stories that were relatable in ways that they could understand. And so, you know, it's does not have to be overcomplicated. God is not overcomplicated. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He shows very clearly who he is and what he's about, just consistently, right? From the beginning of time. And he's still the same, you know? So right. And that's, you know, a thing about, like, overwhelm is such a problem in teaching today, because it's so widespread. It's everywhere. And, you know, with us having been around in education for a while, like, have teachers always been stressed? I'm sure, probably. But, like, even in the 20 years that we've been in the game here, like, things have changed. They have. Yeah. And, you know, my stepfather was a teacher, elementary school teacher, for 32 years, and he retired like the year that I got into teaching. So he was like that previous, you know, generation. And I would venture to say the classroom looks very different nowadays, you know, than it did, because I've even seen it change so much in the past 20 years. But that I really think that God does not want us to be overwhelmed, first of all.
Right.
Because he's constantly telling us in his word to not be afraid, to not worry, right? Do not be anxious, do not worry, like don't worry about tomorrow. He's constantly telling us not to worry and not to be afraid. And what do we constantly do? We get worried and we be afraid and we be stressed and all these things because we're forgetting that it's on God. Like, yes, we have to do our tasks, we have to do our roles, we have to do the things that we're asked to do. But if you can just have the like a moment of clarity to remind yourself that God is going to work all this out, like it's going to be fine. Whatever the little things in your day are that you're stressed about, like he's going to work it out and it's going to be in his timing. And that's the well of living water that we have access to that non-believers are missing out on. And so, that's an advantage. Well, it's an advantage in life, but in a job like teaching, where it's like so easy to feel like you're drowning, if you just go to that well, that living water instead, like you just get refreshed and you just get calm. And that is when people see a different thing about you. That's how, like earlier I was talking about your life being your testimony. And especially if you're working in the public school, you don't always have, and especially depending on where you work and what the culture is, et cetera, you don't always have the freedom to like openly talk about that. But even if you don't openly talk about it, even with the adults that you're around, people will notice that something is different, because they should notice that something is different about you, even if it's just you're like the only calm one, right? It doesn't mean you have fewer things to do. It just means that that God's got it and he's got you and he's going to work it out and it's going to be okay. And you don't have to worry. And that's not being unrealistic. It's not being irresponsible. That's real. Like,
Yeah,
is real and his care for us is real. And the fact that he is so much more capable of doing everything like he's God and we're not, that's real too. And it's just so cool to be able to be, like I said, be that light, like be like a lighthouse, where you are and in your place of work. And there are even times where you might have like even a colleague that, you had conflict with or had some previous situation with, or if they know that you're a Christian, they've, maybe given you a hard time about it, whatever. When stuff goes down, like people know who to go to, who's, you know what I mean? And there are many stories out there about, in hard times, people know who's the one that prays, who's the one that listens, even just being, that listening ear. And that's not something that's like it shouldn't be a prideful thing. It should just be who you are in humbly following Christ and just trying to represent him well, to be humble, to be at peace with all people, as much as it depends on you, because we can't control anybody except ourselves. And so you don't need to stress about that. You just control yourself. You just do what God tells you to do and let him work out all the wrinkles. So it's such a great thing for, that we have that well to go to.
I know. I love that you said that, because when I say it, we don't say it the same thing. We say the same. We say the same thing. We don't say it the same way. I was talking to some teachers 2 weeks ago, a week and a half, I don't know, and I was talking about this show, and I said it's so funny because we can get caught up in conversations and situations, and we are acting like we have no hope, just like the average teacher. And I said we shouldn't be, how I said it, I said we shouldn't be tripping the way we're tripping. Like we shouldn't be acting like there's no hope. God didn't give us hope. We are the answer, and we're acting like we don't have the answer, just like everybody else. We're all stressed out because they gave us a new curriculum and everybody's getting into the teacher's lounge and we're all complaining. What? It's not going to kill you because that's not the first new curriculum you had, right?
And it won't be the
you
last.
had about 10. Yes. We changed four content areas, the curriculums, in one shot. Start in one. I'm talking science, social studies, math, and literacy, all the same day.
Wow.
All the same day. September 1st, this is it. Training was that. You're going to train as you go along. Not to mention, that same year, we had a new whole, they call it a framework with the dual language. I taught dual language for the past couple of years. Before that, I taught all Spanish. I was the bilingual teacher speaking English, right? And that everybody speaking Spanish. And then we had to get into this new framework, dual language, where we swap classes. We didn't have training on that. All the same year we started the new curriculums. And I was kind of tripping a little bit. But I wasn't tripping because of the curriculum, because I didn't care about that. But the way they were making it seem, so I was upset, and then I had to come to myself and say, you got to do what you have to do. You have to do what you have to do. It doesn't matter what they tell you. If it doesn't work, you're going to prove it doesn't work. If it does work, you're going to prove it does work. But you're going to do your job and educate your students. That's my thing always. Educate your students. If you have to shut your door and pull out, how you have a screen that has everything on it they tell you to do, and you pull down the next screen and it's doing what you're going to do, right? You got to do. Okay, you flip it back up. Okay, here we go. But you still have to educate your students. And so it was a big thing. And then I was getting caught up into that. Everybody's complaining. We're all complaining. We're all distraught. We don't know what to do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Like you said, ask God what you want me to do. What do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? Right? That's easy. And so I like that. I love that. The fact. And then other thing that I heard from you was, it's like when you're weak, then he's strong. Stop acting like you got to carry it all, because there's no way you have to carry 4 new curriculums and a whole framework and 2 sets of classes. No, you never heard of an elementary teacher having 26 and 27. I don't even know what that is. 53.
I'm not a math teacher. I'm an English teacher.
Yeah, like 53
math
students.
questions.
53 students. You never heard of that? That's what we had. It's like, what? No, you can't carry that. There's no way you can carry that. You can't carry that because you don't even know half the students. There's no way you can know those students. You can't, because I didn't. There's some kids, you can't read? I didn't know that, right? I didn't know. So I can't carry that. He had to carry it for me. That's my headaches. And he took all my headaches away. I just walked in. My boss said to me, "You look different. What's going on?" Oh, because I let all that stuff go. I let that stuff go because I can't carry it. And you're right. So I had to get that out, because that is what you said in my language. When I say my language, I never I'm learning this teacher language, and I've been teaching for 20 years. I'm learning, trying to use the academic language, but no, we can't trip how we're tripping. That's it. But yeah, I love it. This is my thing. I think I have the answer. I probably do have the answer. Why do we act like that? Like we don't have hope? Why do we go? I have an answer when I ask that question. Why do you think we act like we don't have hope?
Because we forget so easily. Like, we just forget. But I think that's a human thing. I know it's a human thing. So one of my favorite Bible stories is when Jesus calms the storm. And so they're all in the boat, right? And there's this huge storm, and it's about to take this boat down. And Jesus is sleeping in the bottom of the boat. And the disciples are freaking out. And they go and wake him up, and they're like, do something. And he just comes and he just stops the storm. And he points out, their lack of faith, like their forgetfulness, like what did you think was going to happen? Like, I'm in control here. Did you forget that I'm in the boat? Did you forget that I'm in command of the wind and the waves? And then, when another, ocean story, or not ocean, but, water and boat story, is when Peter goes out and walks on the water to Jesus, right? Jesus is walking on the water, and Peter has this moment of faith where he's like, yes, I am going to be filled with faith and I'm going to come walk on the water to you. And then it's such a beautiful story, because he takes his eyes off of Jesus and he puts his eyes on the storm, and he immediately starts to sink. And that's just like, it's such a fantastic story. Thank you, God, for putting that in the Bible, because it's so easy to understand when we take our eye. That's why we trip, because we take our eyes off Jesus and we put our eyes on the storm and all of the things. But he immediately, all we have to do is say help, and he grabs us and says, oh, you have little faith. Like, did you actually think I was going to let you go? Did you actually think I was going to let you drown? We just forget. It's because we take our eyes off of him. But he's so patient with us. so patient with us, endlessly patient with us, and never fails to rescue us when we call, and never fails to, like, he never gets tired of, yep, I'll save you again. Not salvation save, but I'll get you out of this again. I'll get you out of this again. Yep, I'm still here. I'm going to help you again. He never, ever tires of it. It's never too much for him, because he's just so good and so loving. We just have to keep our eyes on him. But we forget, it's hard not to look at the waves when you're standing on water.
I know, that's so funny, because when you said that about Peter walking on the water, I laughed, because I just saw me, like, just like you said it. I saw me going through things, and I'm like, this is not working. This is not working. I don't know what I'm going to do, because I'm looking all around at the storm, at what's happening, and no, that's not how it works. You have to relax. You have to look at God, look at Jesus, and say, like you said, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? Right? Because I see me today, not today, but I won't say last week. Today, I keep trying to look back. I don't, and it is, you keep forgetting. You keep taking your eyes off, and it's, you have to remind yourself. This, like, I told somebody a little while ago about how some people put a rubber band around their wrist. I was trying to pop this, but it's not working. Have a rubber band to remind you of who you are. Just remind yourself, snap it every time you think, you start tripping about whatever it is you're thinking about. You just say you had a sad. I have a cousin who passed away. I had a cousin, how you say, who passed away in the summertime. And you know how you could go into school, you could go into work, and you could think about that, because it's like, it's kind of overwhelming. We were the same age. We grew up. She was one of my first friends, and she taught me so much. She's a few months older than me, but she taught me things, because I live kind of sheltered, and she had big sisters and cousins, all everybody was around, because she lived at my grandmother's house. So, at the grandmother's house, everybody goes through that house. But nobody came to our house. They did every once in a while. And so she taught me how to play jacks, how to play cards. She taught me how to braid, cornbread, everything. Like, anything a little girl needs to know how to do, I learned from her. And so you could think about it. You can go to work thinking about it. Then it's like, okay, I don't want to get sad. So it's a situation like that. You tap that rubber band, you pop it when you think, and then it'll break you out of that. But that's the same thing. We have to somehow remind ourselves, this is not what you're called here to do. You're not called here to be stressed about your job. Are you kidding me? You're stressed about your job? What's going to happen? You have to come back tomorrow. You have to come back tomorrow. You have to come back and start all over. So think about that. So those stories, I'm going to write those stories down and put them on my wall, because that, like, I'm working on a conference, and I'm stressed. I'm not stressed because I gave it up already. I gave it up. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I got stuck. Again, I keep telling people every time you hear, I got stuck with the venue because what I thought was a venue, it wasn't. Then I took my mind. So I'm looking for a venue, and I already have the date and all the people. And so I started like, this is crazy. I need this, or I have to cancel. And then I heard somebody tell a story, a preacher, about taking the victory formation, just drop a knee. That's it. Just drop a knee, like playing football. All the team had to do was drop a knee, and they would have won the game. But no, they had to take the ball out and fumble it, and then it was recovered by the other team. The other team won the game because they didn't drop a knee. All you had to do was get in victory formation and drop a knee. So that's where I am right now. Like, okay, if it doesn't, you got to the, and I put deadlines on God. I don't know how we do that, but you got to the end of the week, Lord. The end of the week, this doesn't happen. This is what I'm going to do. So that taking your eye off. I went all the way around to tell that to say take your eye off because that's not. You have to keep your eye on God. You have to follow Him. He talks about looking in the mirror and then turning away and immediately forgetting who you are. Like that's what we do. That's how come we're stressed out because we walk in a conference room in the teacher's lounge and we forgot. As soon as we walk in, somebody said, "Oh, do you hear what we have to do now?" I forgot who I was right then. And I start falling into it. Yeah, but that's not it. That's not. So I love those stories. I love that Jesus sleeping. He sleep. Do you know it's a storm out here? Do you know that is? Wait, that's
a funny question to ask God, right? God, did you know? Hello, He knows everything. Like He made it.
Yeah, what are you doing, sir?
You know what else I love about that when you went back to Jesus sleeping? Like when somebody is sleeping, they are not stressing. Right? He's so not worried that he's actually asleep.
I heard he had a pillow. Somebody said that he had a pillow. I don't know. I have to go back and read it. But he was sleeping on a pillow. That means you're comfy. You know, you had to tuck that pillow and get, yes. So that is something. And this storm right here, do you see that storm raging? And you're asleep. No, he didn't wake up. He had to be woken up. That's just think. You know, we hear thunder one time. We like, what? You know. But I love those stories. I'm gonna write those for real. Those scriptures, I'm gonna write them down, put them on my wall, because that is we have to refocus, and that goes back to what you said. When I said about my doctor showed me how to focus, and then I came back months later. I don't know how many months, might have been a year. He's like, "What happened? What did you do? Like, how you did well because you weren't here, and now you're back. That means you took your eye. You need to refocus. You didn't focus on what I told you. I showed you how to take your mind off all those distractions. He showed me how to do it. He gave me a whole video of how to focus on the one little fly as opposed to all these flies, and then focus on one fly. You don't even see the rest. Oh yeah, but I started looking at everything again. Yeah, that's something. It's right there, right in our face.
Yeah. And you know, God makes it so simple too. Like we were talking about before, like all those, you just said, focus on the one fly and not all these other ones. The distractions of the 100,000 things that come at us every day from every direction in every moment. God is the one thing that we need to focus on. And everything else falls into place. And when we start looking all around at all these other distractions, that's when it gets all out of whack, you know, all out of balance. And it really is just so simple to just focus in on Him, just try and, you know, be a willing vessel, be that open spirit to like God work through me, and He will.
Really, that is the truest thing I heard today, because you're focusing on Him. At the same time, you're focusing on Him and what He told you to do. And we say teaching is our calling. This is our mission, because it could be a job if you want it to be a job. It could be a job. You're going to get paid. You see teachers, that's their job. They don't even like their job. And then you got people who go back to that. This is what I'm called to do. This is my mission, is to come in here and work. How you got a job from God? You got a job from God. You have a job from God, like the creator who's walking with you, and then you hate it. Imagine what you gonna choose? What are you gonna do? You're not gonna. There's nothing else you can choose.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I love this. Look at the time. We went. That's that's cool.
This is great.
Yeah, you can talk about walking in your calling. I mean, we could take this conversation and change people, have the same conversation. It's going to be different every time. We this is something I heard somebody say about how many people have left the teaching field in the last year, or even since 2020. We could just make it like that. And so again, I know you gave us two great nuggets. You gave us a whole lot. I'm going to say two, but something that you want to leave us with. You want to leave us with. You could reiterate the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah, because
I think keep it simple, and I think the takeaways would be just ask God to use you every day in the way that he wants to use you. God, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? Those are easy questions. That's an easy prayer right there in any moment. What do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And just be open, keep your ears open, and just remember that you are his everywhere you go. You are a picture of Christ to the world. And so just ask, and we are, unable to do that perfectly on our own. But in his strength, like, he enables us to do the things that we can't do it, right? In our weakness, he is strong. So God, help me to just be a good representative for you. Tell me, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And then you just live it out with the people around you.
Oh, that's great.
Mission.
That's great, because I heard so much stuff after that. Like, okay, yeah, I'm going. What happens when I feel like I'm trying to do it on my own? I don't want to mess up your last words, because I could take you to a whole other episode right there. That's what we're trying to do sometimes. But yes, just keep it simple. Keep it simple. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to know? And how can I be a great representation of you? I love that. And thank you, Rhapsody. And I appreciate it. So I put in the chat. I haven't put it in the comments. I'm not sure if I put it in the comments where we can find you, where we can find your blog. So it is Tightrope Teaching.com.
And that's it.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. So again, thank you for joining me on Educators with Oil podcast. I hope today's episode encouraged and equipped you in your journey. Be sure to subscribe, share with another educator who might need this. We all need this. We can walk with this. Listen to this over and over and over again, because this is a great episode, teaching us how to walk this out. This is amazing. So leave a review. That's something new. Leave a review. Let us know how you like the episode. Add a comment or two. So stay connected with me at Ronnette Branham on Instagram, on YouTube. You could Google my name. Google, you'll find, you'll find the Educated with Oil journals. Google my name, go to Amazon, search up my name, and you will find the Educated with Oil journals. That way you can write down, take notes, reflect, anything that you need to do, having to do with your teaching and your personal life. So that's everything. So again, you are anointed for this work. You are called to this assignment, and you never, ever, ever teach alone. Thank you, and have a blessed rest of your day.
Subscribe to Educators with Oil podcast on your preferred platform and join Ronnette on this mission to empower teachers through the wisdom of the Bible. Because when biblical strategies meet the classroom, extraordinary teaching happens.
Educators, let's shine a light on our classrooms. See you on Educators with Oil podcast, where teaching and faith unite.